Hi there, Tracy here, Trinity Stamps Creative Team Member. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this little square card using our little snow globe set and our big Merry Christmas. So let's jump into the video and find out how. Okay, so I have here everything I need. I'm going to be using our snow globe circle card add-on die set. I'm just going to be using the house and its little parts. And I've got those all picked out for myself. And then I'll be using our large Christmas sentiment die set. And I've got myself a piece of 5x5 craft cardstock. And then I have a 5.5 by 5.5 card base. And that's the biggest you can get out of a regular 8.5 by 11. I'll be using bundled sage, speckled egg, tattered rose, saltwater taffy, and vintage photo, along with some lost shadow. And I'll also be using an embossing folder from my stash, and you'll see that later. So I cut all four of the houses off camera. And can you see where there's kind of a little indent in there where it's embossed? I'm going to mask off my roof just using my little 1/2-inch mint tape, because I want brown roofs and I want colored houses. So I will go ahead and zoom in here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm not too worried about it being perfect on the edges because the white snow covers it. But let's go ahead and get this. And I've just got a little white piece of tissue paper here to collect my ink so I don't get ink everywhere. And I'm just using my little Sidekick Blending Buddy Sidekicks to color in the roof. And I'm going to do one on camera and then I'll do the other 3 off camera because it's all basically the same, just different colors. So when I want my door to match my roof, so I'm going to go ahead and color my door as well with the vintage photo. And just to let you know, I have selected these colors from actually a color cube. I thought, you know what, let me just try something different, because typically you're going to see me doing turquoise and reds and pinks. Those are just the colors I gravitate towards, and I wanted to change things up here a little bit. So now I want to color with some speckled egg, and I just tore that piece of paper off so that my ink pad wouldn't move around, because it'll slippy slide around. And I'll grab another one of these Sidekick Blending Buddies and go ahead and just kind of blend off any green that's on there. And if there's any left, no big deal. And I'm just going to color in the bottom half. Now you could mask that top half off, but I don't mind that it comes up over a little bit. It gives it, the more of a handmade look. So I'm just filling that in. And again, I'm not worried about that edge because that's going to be covered up, and you'll see. Just making sure I've got plenty of color on here. And then I'll start to put this together. And as I said, I'll be putting this together on camera. And I've saved out all the little windows because we're going to be using them. So I'm going to start with the little bottom piece, which is kind of the snowy doorway, or whatever you want it to be. Listen, these are fun. I did a gingerbread candy house out of it for my samples. So then I'll go ahead and glue my little door on. Okay, got that. Let's get our top snow cap on, and that's the part that covers the line where I had masked it off. See, no more line. All fixed. And then I need to get the windows on, and they're little snow pieces. Okay, we'll just get this little top window on. And this can be messy sometimes, friends, and I end up doing some on my hand, and later on you might see some glue on my hand because I forgot it was there until I sat down, to eat a meal or something, and I noticed it, or washed my hands. Otherwise, I don't notice it, but then later I get the pleasure of peeling it off. Okay, don't stick. There we go. Let's get that window down. And I'm not necessarily looking for perfection here. Best I can is going to be best. Then we get these little tiny itty-bitty snow pieces on here to cover the bottoms of the windows. They are very, very small. But, you know, also I'm using plenty of glue because I am working with wet Distress Oxide. And ideally, you let that dry. But listen, time is an issue here for me today. So I am gluing it down to wet and struggling with it a little bit, but it'll be fine. Go ahead and put the little doorknob on. I'm using my pick tool to get that on. And then lastly, I'm just going to get this little door frame on, and that'll be 1 down, 3 to go. I really like the color combination that this ended up being. I still, you know, got to be kind of in my pinks and turquoise ranges. All right, so I've got them all cut and colored and put together, ready to go. And you can see that I've got the little smoke pieces and the little window pieces. Here are my sticky mat, and I'm going to color those all with Lost Shadow. Now it barely puts color on, but it's enough color to be a little bit different and to fill in those windows. You could do yellow or light blue or whatever you wanted. But for this, I'm going with the Lost Shadow. Here I'm getting the little smoke pieces, that the smoke that comes out of the chimneys. I debated leaving that off, but I decided, you know, I'm gonna put this whole house together. You could probably, with this card, even use the little trees after you see how I space my little houses out. All right, we've got those all colored in, and I'll put one together on camera, and I'll do the rest off camera. Put my little sidekick, Bling Buddy sidekick away. I'm just going to flip one of these houses over. And it doesn't matter, they're all the same as far as the inner windows go. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right here inside the window frame. Just trying to dab it best I can, and then I will just stick this piece down in there. And then these are going to get doubly reinforced when I put my foam tape on. Go ahead and get a little glue on the 2 little windows, and that will complete this house. Okay, using my extra fingers, aka tweezers, to help me pick tiny things up, and there it is. So you can see, and I do end up gluing the smoke off camera as well. So I'll do the rest of these off camera, and then we'll be back to do the next. Now I am going to be embossing with one of my embossing folders. And I've got a flat brush. For this operation, I like to use the felt rather than foam. And then I just kind of lightly go over with the Lost Shadow again. And got this idea from Carrie, because typically I would use white, but the Lost Shadow works so well. And it's a little more subtle than white. And I don't mind if I'm getting a little bit misty around the snowflakes, because that's what you would see typically. So I'm just taking my time, coating each snowflake with a fairly light touch. You can do several layers if you want to. It's better to do that than to press down hard. Better to press down lightly, let it dry, and do another layer. But I don't. I'm not going to. Not today. Not today, friends. Not today. Just making sure I get everything filled in. There's lots of little fun dots and things in this snowflake, and this is probably my favorite embossing folder of all time. I'm sad that I can't use snowflakes all year long. All right, we're going to put this together, and I'm going to use some foam strips. These are the 3M foam strips. We do have them in our shop. And what I've done here is I have used my Pear Blossom Press ruler to place some 1/4-inch mint tape to kind of divide up my little squares there so that I get my houses nice and even-ish, as best I can anyway. Yeah, and let's see if I can pull one of these strips off. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and add about 4 strips to each little house. You could do this any way you wanted with any materials you have. And I save those little pieces and I put them all together as one strip, you know, as I go. And you see that I'm doing these strips on camera. The rest I'm doing on camera too-ish. I'm doing them off camera and then turning my camera on before I put the house down, so that, you know, you don't spend a whole video watching me lay strips down. Because, yeah, that gets tedious. I know it gets tedious for me too. Now I'm putting these in the order that I want them, and then I end up changing the order because I'm just not paying attention. But it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter. I just want to make sure that the blue-green are catty-corner to each other, and that the peach or the salmon and apricot are catty-corner to each other. So the colors on the color cube that I used were salmon, apricot, chestnut, which was a little bit darker brown than the vintage photo, but I wanted the kind of red tone in there. And let's see, what were the blue colors? I don't even remember. One was, I want to say it was sage. I don't know. I forget. Anyway. Just something different for me. And a very different color scheme for a Christmas card. So I'm going to use that little square that I made to kind of place my house. My first house. And I'll keep those little pieces of tape on there. And they're just lightly taped down, mind you, because I don't want to end up ripping anything. I'm just trying to clean off any glue goobers. So see, magically I got my strips on there. And I'm just trying to get the sides even and the bottom even with each other. Okay. Just scooch that around, which is the reason we use liquid glue, so I can do that. Let's go ahead and get this one down. And my smoke goes over a little bit, but that's okay because I'm about to pull my tape up. I don't need it for the last one. Just have to kind of decide where I want that, and then I'll pull my tape. And then I decide as I pull my tape that I want it scooched up just a little bit. Not much at all, maybe a 32nd of an inch. I don't know. A smidge. And then we'll get our last house down. And there I just want to make sure that everything's even with each other. And we've got our 4 little houses. And you could put a sentiment inside, like Merry Christmas from our house to yours or something. I didn't do the inside because I was in a hurry. So, but you definitely could, and we definitely do have that in our shop. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this panel down to the card base in a top folding fashion. So with a square card, you can do top or side. It doesn't matter, but I really like a top folding card, especially if it's going to be a chunky card. Now this one, you'd pay extra postage. You'd have to make yourself an envelope or have 6x6 or 5.5 by 5.5 envelopes, or hand deliver. Put it on your package, whatever. And then I went ahead and off camera I put together my Merry Christmas, and I just used white paper and craft for my shadow layer just to kind of coordinate it with that background. Pull in all the whites. And I'm putting plenty of glue on here because those are the only spots it's going to be glued down. And I'm not too worried about the center part. I'm just not. So I'll glue that across all 4 houses. And then finally, all I'm going to do is I'm going to add some embellishment here. I'm going to put just something flat on here, something flat and heavy, while I grab my embellishments. Close up my glue real quick so that it doesn't dry out on me. And I'm going to be using these little white, and I'll list them in the description box because I don't have the name of them. These little white sparkle spots. They're kind of just an iridescent white, and I just thought they'd be really pretty on here just to add a little bit of sparkle, but in a real subtle manner. But I do go kind of crazy with them and put quite a few on for typically a card that I make. I don't, unless, you know, I'm filling in middles of snowflakes or something like that. But these ones are really nice for any color that you're working with. And that's exactly why I chose them, just for that added sparkle. Yeah, and that's why we call them sparkle spots too, right? So go ahead and get a few more of these down. I hope you guys like this video, and I do have links down below. Those are my affiliate links, so if you shop from those links, I will earn a small commission, and it won't cost you anything extra. So we always appreciate when you shop with us. And just a couple more. Don't go too nuts, T. I think I need one right here, just to kind of balance it out. There we go. And at the end of the video, I'll show you still photos. If you're not already subscribed to the Trinity Stamps channel, please consider subscribing. And do hit that notification bell so that you get notified every time we upload a new video. And don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you like the video. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch our channel. I hope you have a fabulous day. Take care. Bye-bye.